Buddy. Today is April 27th, 2017. I am KSL of KSL Tech Studios, and I welcome you all back to another video. Now, right in front of us, right here, you are looking at a ThinkPad T440P. Now, it's a little bit light to open without it having anything in it, and it's tougher to open with one hand. Oh God. As you can see right here, this is a ThinkPad T440P. This is something I picked up for actually pretty cheap on eBay, and I was going to do a few upgrades to it, such as putting in the old trackpad from my regular T440 that I have right here, and I've replaced it with the T450 trackpad. The old screen from my T440, which I've obviously replaced with a IPS screen, as you can see right here. We have the T440P hardware maintenance manual, service manual up. Because these are a little bit worn. You can see this trackpad's a little bit worn. And this screen has a nice big fat scratch on it. Ouch. Well, that's okay, because we can definitely replace that with another screen that's basically scratch-free. Well, before we do that, we're going to do a couple of under the hood things, such as opening up the bottom cover and seeing what's in there. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm just going to close it up. I'm going to flip it over. It's a little bit hard to do with a camera in one hand. But I think there are only two screws to get into it, one up here and one right here. So it should be fine, I hope. I really hope. I'm going to go grab my screwdriver and we're going to start screwing. Alrighty, I've loosened the two screws holding on the bottom cover, so I think it's just up to now trying to take it off. Oh, I didn't know that the screws actually came out. They were captive, just like on the T430, but I think I was wrong. I don't actually... Oh, it just simply pivots out, actually. I didn't know that. Alrighty, so there we go. Here is the insides of our little ThinkPad friend here. So what do we have? We have an Intel wireless card. If I need to switch it to manual focus, I will. I don't know how this works, but let's take a look. Into higher focus. Nope, whatever. Autofocus it is. But we have I believe you can make out what it says there, a 7260 wireless AC. No, it is actually a wireless N card, apparently. Alright, it's not too bad. Right here we have an empty space where the hard drive would be. I don't have a hard drive caddy for this at one point, but I do have one coming. So we're just going to put in our SSD by itself. And here are the RAM slots which we'll be populating very shortly. Actually, I'll actually do it right now. So I have some DDR3L RAM. This is Crucial RAM. I ordered it not too long ago for my T430, but I will now use it for the T440P. Simply just putting it in like this. You have another stick. Yeah, I'll just push it in. Alrighty. That's it. That's all there is to it. Now here is an SK Hynix 500GB SSD, which is what I will be using in here. So that I will put in pretty simply, I think. I hope I can put it in and not need to use anything at this point. I may actually put some padding in here for the SSD, just so that it stays flush and level and that the connector doesn't wear out on either the SSD or the computer itself. But I think it should be fine for about now until I get it working properly. I will also be doing a little bit of dusting in here and just some cleaning in general. But after I'm done that, no, I take that back. I am actually going to put in the new trackpad after this. Alright. At least some of the cursory steps to taking the trackpad out of here, because that's what I want to replace with the one I have for my T440, as I explained earlier, saying the first part you need to do is to take out your keyboard. It's pretty easy. You just really need to just push this out. There are no little rubber stopper things on this one, as opposed to the normal T440. This, you do have a few screws that you need to take out. Just trying to see if I can find any over here. There's one above the S key, the F key, the J key, the semicolon key, the, not on that row, and the control key, the left control key. Oh gosh, I'm sorry. The left control key, and the up arrow key. Alright, so I'm going to do that, and I'm going to take out the keyboard, and then we're going to take off the palm rest assembly. So the keyboard is out, and obviously very disgusting. It's pretty dirty in there. Really dirty. Don't know if you can see that or not. This camera's a bit slow with the autofocus. Another thing. When I first opened the computer, I noticed there was a little piece of plastic that was just rattling around in there. And I didn't know what it was for, because maybe even the seller that I got it from on eBay potentially, you know, was screwing around in here and something broke off, so it was just like rattling around. I wondered what it was. Well, I found it was just a little piece of plastic. I honestly wonder what it's from. If I find out, then I'll find out, but if I don't, then I don't. The next step is to remove all of these screws. I know, so much quote-unquote fun, right? Oh well, we'll get that all removed. All 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 screws. Alrighty, be back in Flash once I remove all the screws. Alrighty, so now the palm rest assembly is off. One quick note here, underneath where the optical drive is, there is one screw that you need to take out. It's located basically where the optical drive is. There is a screw under there. It's like this one, right here, that you need to take out. Otherwise, this thing will feel as if it's stuck on. Don't make the mistake I did. Well, I didn't break anything, but just saying, there is a screw under the CD drive. It's not really that bad taking the snaps off of here. It's not as nerve-wracking as the T440 to get on the bottom of it is. So I'm basically going to just take out the trackpad over here and put a new one in. Alrighty, so I have just finished replacing the trackpad. This is the old trackpad, fairly worn out, as you can see. I just took that out. Nothing really special there. Basically, same old with the way you take the trackpad out, same as the T430, pretty much. Except it's much easier, because you don't have to deal with that cable that's glued on. The cable is not glued on, it's actually just there. So, I think I'm going to put together the rest of the bottom of the machine, and then once I'm finished that, we will start on the display. Thought that just before I assemble this machine all back together, I'd show you a little tip on how to clean it. Now you see this strange looking character right there. Grab a dry erase marker, any kind would work. I really like this one, I don't know why, it seems to work very well. Take your cap off and go to town. Sorry if it's off camera, I'm just go to town, cover it all up. Wait for that to dry out. Now I've usually had better luck with the dry erase eraser, but I don't know where it went, so I'm going to do it this way with a paper towel. Now maybe you could blow on it a little bit just to let it dry. Then you can grab like a paper towel or something like that and simply rub it off, and there we go. Most of the character is off. Now I could just go over it probably once more and it'll probably go off completely. There's something to do with, like, I think there's something in the marker, dry erase marker, that takes off permanent marker for some reason. I don't know. I already know the technical definitions. I don't bother putting in the comments, but yeah, I thought I'd just show you that. Next part of the video, which is replacing the screen. Now, I'm not replacing this with an IPS panel because I simply don't have one, like, as a spare, but this one does have a big fat scratch in it. Right there. And personally, I don't know, just for looks, I'm going to use a different screen. A Lenovo screen, actually, an official LG Lenovo screen. Now, this one is much easier to take apart the bezel on than the T440, which involved unadhesiving some stuff, then there were screws, then there were some things. So this one you just simply pull it apart, which I think is pretty awesome. It's not as involved as the other one. So you just pull it off. Like right here you can start, you can see, start it there. I could go to the bottom now, or I could go to the top. When I got to the top, maybe I could keep going on the top. I don't know, I might have to stop this and keep going with two hands. So I don't want to force anything. Yeah, I've kind of stopped there at the webcam. Maybe I can start at the bottom here. Well, I'm not. There we go. There we go. There's another one. So have all of them gone off the bottom here? I'm not sure. Well, we'll see. How about the top? There we go. I just took the bezel off on video for you folks. That, with one hand nonetheless, that's how easy it is to take apart. What we basically need to do is take this screen off, which looks like a different screen than the one I have in my T4 than the one that I have for my T440, but that's okay because I think if they're Lenovo screens, they should be intercompatible with one another because they don't have the same, video BIOS or whatnot. So I'll probably just do the swap right now, and I'll see what screen this is, and then I'll show you folks what it is. And the one that I took out was a LP140WH. I'm not sure. Is that an 8? Yeah. LP140WH8 TPD1. This is a different panel, obviously. I think the other one was an LP140WHU TPB, the one in here, anyway, TPB2. So that would surely be new. So I'm probably going to keep this, and if I can find a controller board for this on eBay, we're gonna have a little mini monitor project that we're gonna do with this. I hope I could find a proper controller board for it, which I was unable to for this one, so that's why I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna throw this screen in here. Well, first of all, because it's not scratched, and second of all, because, well, I can't find a controller board for it. Alright, so I think I'm gonna put together the screen bezel back again. I'm gonna put the battery in. I'm gonna find another charger for it, and yeah, that's probably where we're gonna go with this. We are booted into the BIOS. Isn't this exciting, right? I don't know. I guess it is. Here we are. So, a little bit of specs. So, i5-4210M, which is the dual core, probably one of the lowest ones, but this is a revised model, considering this machine was made in March of 2010. 2.6 gigahertz, obviously, 8 gigs of RAM. Of course, that's what I installed. Let's go into the config menu. Maybe startup? I don't know. If I go into boot, where would that? It does give me the whatever HFS ATA hard drive. That's good. So I think now what we're going to do is we're going to try and install Windows 8.1 Professional, because we need to first find out if this machine is either A, just licensed with Windows 8.1, or B, licensed with Windows 8.1, and then subsequently upgraded to Windows 10. So that's what I'm going to do next. I guess that's about it. We have both installed Windows 8.1, then made an upgrade to Windows 10, and now we've basically clean installed Windows 10. This is the new Creators Update, whatever they call it. It's not that bad. It gives you all your drivers automatically, although I might install some from Lenovo. You hear it's beeping and doing all sorts of things, but that'll be fixed, certainly. This is that crappy TN panel, though. You can see it just like washes out all the time. That's all it does, just washes out. Whatever, though. I think it's fine. It's good enough, considering I'm not even going to be using this panel. It's mostly going to live in the dock, which is where I'm going to keep it most of its life, because, well, that's kind of what I bought it for. A somewhat thicker, higher performance machine that I wouldn't mind just sticking in the dock. Oh well, I think that's almost about it for the video, at least for now. If I decide to do any other things to it, i.e. replacing the thermal paste, maybe a keyboard replacement, I don't know. But after that happens, I will definitely add addendums to this. But for now, this is the last part of the video, I believe, that will be recorded on April 27th, because it's getting a bit late. Alrighty then, see you at the next segment. Thought I'd just do a little bit of a little addendum to this video about the Lenovo ThinkPad T440, and what you are looking at right here is the CPU, the Core i5-4210M CPU on the T440P. What is wrong with this picture? It is that there's way too much freaking thermal paste all over it. It's even leaking off the sides of the heatsink. It is absolutely insane how much they put on here. So I'm basically going to do a repaste of this machine. I'm going to clean up this mess, and I'm going to slap on some fresh Arctic MX4 thermal paste, the kind that I used on my T440 right here. I don't feel like showing the screen, but there we go. So yeah, pretty much this is maybe a reason why it's been actually running somewhat warm. It's because there's basically... It's also all dried up. I honestly don't know what thermal paste it is, but yikes. Hello there, everyone. Today is Tuesday, August 8th, 2017. I'm KSL of KSL Tech Studios, and today I thought I would finish up my T440P video because a few new things are going to happen on the channel, and I just kind of want to get this out of the way. And I also kind of want to tell you kind of what I ended up doing with this machine at the end. So, right here is the T440P, as you can see. So what I did was I swapped in the trackpad from my T440, which has the T450 style trackpad, because it has less wear on it. And I also went out online on the eBay and found myself a IPS panel for the display. So it's actually... It wasn't being advertised as one, but yet it is actually a Lenovo EDID panel. It says right here, it is a LP140 WF1 SPK1, which is a actual Lenovo panel, which was used in the T440 and the T440S and also the T440P. So that's a reason why I'm using it. Now, this computer has an Intel Core i5-4210M, which is spec'd for having a 2.6 gigahertz processor. It's a dual core with hyper-threading, obviously. It has Intel HD graphics 4600. It's definitely a very nice graphics chip. I really do like this computer, but I really can't keep it because, well, I just don't have any use for it, frankly. I've been using my ThinkPad T440 as my main laptop for a little while now. As you can see here, I also have HW monitor running. And this machine, well, it's not really needed. I did put 8 gigs of RAM in here because this machine didn't come with any RAM. But when I sell it, I'll probably remove some of it because I don't need that. I'm not going to sell it with that much. And I have another machine which can really use the RAM. Another thing, I bought a battery with this computer from the seller who originally sold it to me. Power Manager reports that it has roughly 80% capacity left, which I think for a $40 battery isn't that bad, frankly, but still runs a good 3 hours or so, just in regular use, so I can't really complain. Another thing, this computer has a bit of an Achilles heel, which I don't like. Which is mainly in the wireless card. The pre-installed wireless card is an Intel Wireless N 7260, which in and of itself is a decent chip, except for one thing. It has zero support for dual band wireless, which really sucks, because I would honestly be keeping this machine if not for that disadvantage. Because this machine, as you can see here, my T440, has a dual band wireless AC card. Now, I believe that you can take a Lenovo EDI'd card that shipped with the T440s and use it in this T440P. But honestly, I would rather not, because those cards are a little bit expensive, and frankly, if the card were Hackintosh capable, I would definitely for sure put it in here. But unfortunately, it's not. And I would love to make this computer a Hackintosh, but it's not supported. There's a BIOS whitelist in this computer that keeps it from running with any wireless card other than a Lenovo EDI'd Intel card. So you can't put any of the Broadcom cards in it. You can't put any generic Intel card in it. Only Lenovo cards work, and that's a real Achilles heel of both of these machines, not just the T440P. In order to sell it, I just put in a random 250 gigabyte hard drive I found in one computer or another. I don't really know. But another thing, as you can see, this computer is running Windows 7. And I bought this computer without a hard drive, as you may know. So how did I get Windows 7 on here if I didn't have the original hard drive? Well, what I'm going to say is, I actually contacted Lenovo, since this machine is, I believe, still in warranty to this day. And I got a few restore disks that they shipped to me very quickly, no questions asked, no nothing. I just said, well, I've been trying to run Windows 7 on this computer. It's not activating if I just ran it from a normal disk. So they sent me their Lenovo recovery media. That's why it's obviously has the blue ThinkPad background and the battery meter down there. So if you're ever having a problem like that with your computer where you just need some restore disks or something, just call up Lenovo. They're really happy to help if your machine's still in warranty. I haven't really tried with this computer, but I think this computer is going to stay on Windows 10 for a little while, so I don't really need it. But that's definitely good to know. All of Lenovo's customer support is based in, I believe, the United States, and unlike some other computer manufacturers, obviously you're going to be speaking to a real person, not just some call center in India. So there you go. On the ports, I don't think we've ever gone over this, but on the side here we have the fan port, which is good to keep your computer nice and cool, a VGA with the screws, nice touch, your audio port, which is both a headphone and microphone combined. But for all of these Lenovo computers, if you use Apple wired headsets, the volume control and the button does not work. These only work for like the Android style headsets if you want to use the button, but I don't actually have one, so I can't try it. Mini display port, not a Thunderbolt port, but that's fine. 2 USB 3.0 ports, good, and a SD card slot. On the front, all you have is your single speaker, which is yet another thing I don't like about this computer. On the T440P, you have 2 stereo speakers, one under here and one under here. This one, all you have is a single front-firing speaker. I've honestly never seen it, because when you take off the bottom, you don't get to see the speaker, which I'll show later, but unfortunately it is only a single speaker, which is really unfortunate. So on this side here, you get your DVD drive, which is a slim line. It's a 9.5mm, not your typical 12mm. And here you just have 2 USB 2.0 ports, one which has your standard always on charging. And on the back, as you can see, but not yet, you have an Ethernet jack, which I believe is gigabit Ethernet, powered through some kind of Intel chipset, and your power port and the second fan grill. And I like this computer for the fact that it has more ventilation as well compared to this T440, which simply has one little fan grate on the side, and it gets an intake from the bottom. This computer, while it does also have a bottom intake, if I can show it, does also have a bottom intake, but it does not really rely on it as heavily as this computer since it's its only intake. I think I'm going to take the bottom panel off of this computer and I'm going to show you the insides, so hold on just a second. Lenovo ThinkPad T440P. It simply comes off very easily actually, since this has absolutely no snaps on it. It simply pivots right out after you take out two screws. Just put it on, you push it back in, and you can just slide it towards yourself if the front of the machine is towards you, and it simply comes off. There's no snaps, no nothing. Everything is accessible from the bottom. It's actually a very efficient design, and one I wish more laptop manufacturers had. I mean, this ThinkPad T440P, while it is very serviceable, you just take the bottom plate off, it has a series of snaps around the outside perimeter. And two of those snaps which I've already broken, which is extremely frustrating, and I wish that they just did it something like this, or maybe just some more screws. I mean, it's not as if screws are expensive, so, well, whatever. Here is your optical drive. You can simply remove it. There's a screw right there. Just push it out, and you can even put a secondary hard drive in here if you want to. Over here is where your wireless card is. I've already talked about the wireless card. You can't use anything other than Lenovo's own branded wireless cards in this machine, and it uses like a really interesting proprietary M.2 style connector. In here is where you could put either a wireless WAN slot, pretty much for cellular data, if you have it, but I don't really see a point in having it. Or you can put an M.2 2242 SSD in here. The only thing you cannot restore to this SSD using Lenovo's own recovery image, unfortunately. You can only, if you want, you can only install your own operating system onto it. You cannot use Lenovo's image by default. You can simply install it onto one hard drive and just copy it over. I guess that's a good solution. Here is your RAM slots, very easily accessible. Really no nonsense how a RAM slot works. Here is your CR2032 clock battery, obviously to keep your BIOS settings intact. Here is the CPU heatsink and fan. This is where the CPU goes. It's obviously socketed in this version as compared to the T440, which has a soldered-on CPU. So it's very appreciated, and yes, you can upgrade this to a quad-core if you want to. I did not plan on doing this because those processors, while they are somewhat affordable, I just don't need it because I'll be doing a different project in the next video which will address all those concerns for you. And over here where this black tape is where the optional Nvidia graphics card sits. I believe it is a 740M, GT 740M or something to that effect. I did actually price out a motherboard with it on it. It's not that expensive, but I just think that it's such a weak little GPU that there's not a whole bunch of difference between it and the standard integrated Intel HD Graphics 4600. I suppose that's fine. And obviously your fan, this one I'm not sure, I believe this is a Toshiba fan. They tend to be the loudest of all of them. There are actually 3 fans available for this computer. The Toshiba, the Delta, and then there's another brand which I can't really rack off the top of my head. Here is the hard drive where it usually sits. There would usually be a caddy for this, but unfortunately I was not able to get one. I did order one when I first received the machine, but yet it just didn't arrive, and it's already been like 4 months since I first got the computer in like April. So there's no caddy, so I just simply tape it in and I guess it holds together fine. And this hard drive fits, although it's a little bit loose. Yeah, that's where it would screw in. And yes, in this computer you do have water drainage channel similar to the normal T440 from your keyboard, which is definitely very appreciated if you're a person who likes to eat and drink near your computer and you don't and you don't want to damage it, so I suppose that's a very good feature for those people. I know that the X240, I believe, does not actually have any sort of drainage channels whatsoever in its keyboard. Only, it's not even waterproof, you're just going to break the machine that way. And over here is a docking station port, which is probably very important, especially for me, because this computer, I didn't really use it much as a laptop, more so as a desktop replacement with my Lenovo UltraDock. So I simply just sat it in the docking base, and that was it, I suppose, and that's how it ran for a good few months until I kind of brought this other project together, and that's how it's going to go. But yeah, pretty much, I suppose. You don't have a Windows COA here because that's all embedded in the BIOS. That's how it gets the key, and that's also why I could not activate Windows 7 normally. So that's definitely something to watch out for if you want to use this machine with Windows 7 and you don't have the disks or anything. So I guess that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please feel free to leave a comment if you have one.